Welcome to MTN Outdoors.
Hi there, I'm John Riley and I'll be your guide for this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. We've got a great episode for you this week, and right now it's honestly one of my favorite times in Montana. The leaves are changing, it's a great time to get out and do some fall fishing, and we're in full-on flannel season. I'm actually out here right now because I'm getting ready for a hike. There are potential dangers though whenever we go outdoors, and one danger that people need to be aware of are tree falls. MTN's Charlie Kleps has more on how a 22-year-old is lucky to be alive after a tree fell on him.
It's beautiful scenery out here near Porcupine Falls, just south of the Montana-Wyoming state line. But just a few months ago, it was almost the scene of a tragedy for one family who is thanking their lucky stars that an even bigger disaster was avoided.
But I just remember hiking out with my buddies.
It all started as a typical summer voyage.
We had stopped to swim.
But that peaceful hike for Will Dissenberry and his friends quickly turned into a nightmare.
Somebody yelled tree and turned around and I was already hit.
Out of nowhere, a tree collapsed on top of the group of friends, with Will taking a massive blow to the head, knocking him unconscious. One of the friends who was uninjured sprinted to the top of the trail searching for help.
Young kid, early 20s, was running up the trail and saying that a tree fell on his friends and one of them was bleeding from the head.
Fortunately, he caught the Rystroms before they drove away. Michelle, an ER nurse, and Jesse, a firefighter lieutenant paramedic.
Your adrenaline kind of just kicks in, and like your mom mode kicks in and you start taking care of the kids.
Without second thought, the Rystroms sprinted to the bottom, almost 0.7 miles, and gave aid how they could.
Everything lined up to just to help them, because there was nobody else in the parking lot when we were there.
You're in the right spot at the right time, that's for sure.
The Rystroms' heroic effort, so based on timing, eventually got Will to St. Vincent's Healthcare, where his parents were frantically traveling to from Pennsylvania.
And it wasn't until we arrived that we realized how severe the injury was. It was horrific. Yeah, I mean, Will was not recognizable.
The shocking condition of their son left Louise numb.
My emotions were just put on hold because you're just fully in, that fight or flight. It's been the fight of our lifetime for a month and a half.
That fight has included multiple surgeries, hours of rehab, and plenty of dark days. Somehow, Will has remained positive every step of the way.
Staring down the barrel of the hot sun. It's allowed me to kind of appreciate all the things, I have at the moment and the things that I can get back to eventually.
And today he's back to doing some of the things he loves, now expected to make a full recovery, thanks in large part to fate and those on scene that day.
It was just a lot of heroes and angels right where they needed to be.
I wouldn't be here without them, but the fact that they were there in the first place is just kind of a miracle.
In Billings, Charlie Kleps, MTN News.
What's not to love about fall when the leaves are popping with vibrant reds, yellows, and oranges against a mountain backdrop with deep blue sky? But here in Montana, peak autumn color sometimes has the odds of slim to none and slims out of town. Harsh weather with violent wind, early season cold snaps, and giant September snowstorms can leave the leaves very dull, muted, or laying on the ground way too early. This is true maybe nowhere more than Glacier Park. Just a few years ago, yours truly and trusted photojournalist John Riley reported to you from East Glacier in the middle of a 4 to 5 foot snowstorm. That storm brought down not just leaves, but some of the trees as well. Fall color had a snowball's chance in heck that year. The East Glacier area and Rocky Mountain Front can also experience 80 to 100 mile per hour wind as the jet stream begins to start heading south for the winter. In these conditions, getting colorful leaves is like herding cats. And Arctic fronts can drop temperatures to near zero, freezing the sugars, making vivid leaves as rare as hen's teeth. But this year is different. The color across Glacier Park is fantastic. Leaves are still on the trees and full of the best colors. A mild fall with some timely rain has allowed some of the best potential color to develop. Much of Montana has had conditions to allow great color to develop this year, but in Glacier, that snowball in heck is somehow hanging on. And now you're a little more weather-wise.
There is a new online tool to keep the public updated on known grizzly bear deaths across Montana outside of tribal land. The Grizzly Bear Mortality Dashboard is run by Montana Fish, Wildlife and Parks, which estimates there are roughly 2,000 grizzly bears in the state. However, getting an exact number is difficult, and one of the critical data points is mortalities. FWP says the new dashboard will help them be transparent with the public on what leads to grizzly bear deaths. The dashboard will be updated daily at 1 p.m. and it will reset in January with the new year. People will still be able to find data from previous years through FWP's Grizzly Bear Management website. You can learn where to find that management website and mortality dashboard on our website.
There is a lot happening down there. The problem is it's hard for Fish, Wildlife and Parks to see that. That's why they've been out on these waters catching some of these fish.
This month, we've been doing that in the Upper Madison River. There are still tagged fish in the Big Hole, the Beaverhead, the Ruby, and the Lower Madison Rivers. And this will continue possibly for the next couple of years as well. So by continuing to submit reports of tagged fish, you're helping us gather information that'll help us manage for healthy fisheries. And anglers who do that get entered into drawings for really awesome prizes as well.
That's including fishing gear and even the possibility of cash if you catch a yellow tag. If you do catch a tagged fish, the procedure pretty simple.
Clip that tag off using, you can use fingernail clippers or clippers that you would use for fishing line, and then submit a report on what that tag number is. And that helps us understand how many tag trout are being caught, where that's occurring, how that fish is doing, if it appears healthy, and lots of other information that really gives us lots of data points that we can use later in this bigger picture of fish health, fish mortality, and fish recruitment.
Jacobson says fish tagging will take place on the Upper Madison here for the next couple of months. On the Upper Madison, Chet Lehman, MTN News.
The 32nd year of the annual North American Invasive Species Management Association, or NAMSA conference, is set to be the biggest one yet, bringing more than 450 people together to swap strategies.
We connect to managers, researchers, policy and advocacy folks, and they're in the field usually. So a lot of our work is remote. But once a year we get together for an in-person experience, get everybody together, people from all walks of life, all aspects of the work. We share stories, we celebrate the partnerships that have been created, and those in-person experiences, the collaboration, is what creates community.
The conference came to Billings more than 15 years ago, but organizers have been eager to return to Montana ever since.
We wanted to host the conference in Montana because we have a lot of good stories to share, successes with dealing with invasive species and things that we can just show other folks that we're doing here in Montana to combat all kinds of different invasive species.
This year's event is co-hosted with the Montana Invasive Species Council. Montana is at the forefront of invasive species management. The state is full of check stations and cleaning machines aimed at stopping the spread of harmful aquatic invasives, like zebra mussels, which can clog pipes and devastate waterways. While this is one of the more visible aspects of management, dealing with invasive species goes beyond cleaning boats.
Montana's been really strong in trying to prevent the introduction of feral swine. We do not have feral swine in Montana, and so we've had a really good outreach program to just let landowners and people know that if they think they see feral swine, to report it so we can deal with them quickly.
Feral pigs carry dangerous diseases and have caused an estimated $1.5 billion worth of damage to crops, wildlife, and the environment. To keep populations from North America and Canada out of the state, Montana banned the transportation and hunting of feral swine in 2015. Conference attendees can listen to lectures and take field trips in every direction out of Missoula, learning about everything from pests to invasive grasses to whitebark pines.
Our theme this year is sharing stories and celebrating partnerships. In the field of invasive species management, the way that we partner, the way that we share our stories helps to further our mission, helps to increase resources, and helps us to connect to communities.
The conference continues through Friday, allowing attendees to see firsthand how Western Montana is tackling invasive species head-on. In Missoula, Caroline Weiss, MTN News.
While it may not feel like it quite yet, fall is here, and the Billings Public Library is celebrating that through their second Story Trails Path. It not only helps promote reading, but also encourages kids to be more aware of the changing season.
On its
Heights families now have a new reason to get outdoors.
My kids love to read, and then they also love being outside, so putting them together, it's great.
Amanda Harmon and her daughters got to explore the new trail at Castle Rock Park and was an instant hit.
We got to read these books, this little page. These are really fun.
On Saturday, the Billings Public Library unveiled their second trail, but the first in partnership with Parks and Rec.
People are very excited to use the parks and be able to read to their children, have an activity while they're here.
Alan Ellis, the library's children's librarian, designed the project to reflect the season and encourage kids to engage with the environment.
They'll be able to see nature changing real time.
That's really cool that it's so interactive and just different activities.
Funded through the Billings Public Library Foundation, the trail features 20 podiums with pages from the book Goodbye Summer, Hello Autumn.
The story goes through a young lady who's walking through the country and then her town, noticing all the changes from summer to fall. And so as the kids walk the path and read the book, they'll be able to do the same thing in our city parks.
Just having fun outdoors, and the library wanted to do this, so they just did it, and it's pretty cool.
The featured book will change every few months, providing an ongoing opportunity for kids to get outside and read.
And I'm excited for the other ones.
Reading takes you literally everywhere. Learn about your world, and that's the best way to do it.
In Billings, Isabel Sparts, MTN News.
Coming up after the break, we're buzzing around some Montana farms. But first, it's time for some trivia. Montana is one of the largest honey producers in the United States. But do you know how many pounds on average of honey Montana bees produce every year? That answer coming up after the break.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back. So do you know how many pounds of honey are commercially produced in Montana each year? Ranking regularly 5th in the nation for production, Montana bees produce around 14 million pounds of commercial honey annually. Now, I like to think those bees are buzzing in the trees to make all that honey just for me, but 14 million pounds sounds like I'd hit diabetic shock before I made any real progress on it. Now, many farms are getting ready for winter, and bees are no different, as MTN's Madeline Heath reports.
When you think of Montana, you may think of gold mining, but how about liquid gold? For Nate Gray, his bees and their honey are his life.
Without that, we wouldn't have anything.
A key part of honeybees' protection comes from winter care, especially here in Montana where snow and below zero temperatures are not uncommon. Nate and his team at Bee Haven Apiary started commercial operations 5 years ago and have raised their bees to be citizens in 2 states.
We only shut our bees down to a hibernation state for about a month and a half, and then we ship them back to California so they'll start building again.
When the bees vacation in California, they pollinate blueberries and other Californian crops. Although winter beekeeping is not a complex process, it is a time-consuming one, especially when you work over 1,000 colonies in a year. Gray focuses on mite inspection, giving his bees plenty of food after foraging season is over, and not sealing the bee boxes too tight. In addition to Nate's help, the bees have their own tactics.
And as it starts getting colder, the bees are going to start clustering. And they're going to move to the top of the hive because that's where the warmth is at in the hive.
Bee Haven has also started another winter technique called mountain camping.
What it does is it ensures the bees will have food if they run out of syrup. And it'll also take all the humidity that the bees create.
Through Bee Haven's winter practices and beekeeping experience since he was a freshman in high school, Gray believes that the honeybee is a vital species to Montana.
Without the honeybee pollinating everything that we eat and the cattle eat, and pollinating the flowers and things like that, we wouldn't have anything.
Bee Haven sells both their honey and wax products at the Helena Farmers Market. In Helena, Madeline Heath, MTN News.
Outside of Vaughan, you may come across a pumpkin patch.
It's been an awesome crop, huge crop of pumpkins.
At the patch, hundreds of families and friends are gathering pumpkins and taking hay rides. Jordan Schroeder sums it up.
We ride it out here.
Perfectly clear blue skies are the perfect way to ring in the 10th annual Jordan's Pumpkins for a Cause.
Every year, Jordan and his family select an organization to raise money for. This year, it is the Sun River Valley Food Bank.
I was extremely blessed. I was actually really surprised when they called. We are not only new, but we are, I guess at the time I thought, kind of a smaller fundraiser.
And what keeps them going?
The support from the community. It continues to grow. And we're very pleased. The people that bring things to support us, the volunteers that come, and those that donate financially.
And Jordan's favorite part?
We like that the Sun River Valley Fire Station is here with the emergency vehicles, the fire trucks.
It's a great way to ring in the fall days, one free gourd at a time.
It's got mold on it.
It's got mold on it? What makes you like it? In Vaughan, Tommy Lynch, MTN News.
So the Macintosh apple is really our staple fruit for generations. It's been the staple in this valley. It's got a sweet and tart, perfect balanced taste to it.
In the early 1900s, the Swanson family started an apple orchard in the Bitterroot Valley. Now, Kendall Mao and her husband run the place and have added 2,000 trees to the almost 40-acre farm.
Really, our job each and every day out in this orchard is making sure that we're, putting in the time and the resources needed to make a quality crop.
And by prioritizing the apple's flavor, Mao is proud of what comes out of the doors in Corvallis and into boxes shipped around the state.
So we have about 450 bins. Each bin is about 800 pounds that we bring in. So I would say, anywhere from 375 to 400,000 pounds in a year.
The apples that don't make it into stores don't go rotten. They stay keeping the orchard sustainable.
We don't like to waste anything, so we actually feed our apples and the grasses grown on these hay fields to our animals.
But it's more than just fruit to Swansons. They say apples bring health and togetherness.
Sharing what this orchard is and even bringing the community here to experience this orchard and the views and this valley is very important to us. And for our kiddos to be able to get local produce at their schools and stores are very important to us.
People can come to Swanson's Mountain View Orchard in Corvallis this Saturday for a U-Pick event. They'll also be in Missoula the next day at Fort Missoula for Fall Festival. Then October 5th is Apple Day in Hamilton. In Corvallis, Emily Brown, MTN News.
Coming up after the break, we look at backyard play and meet some alpacas.
We now return to MTN Outdoors.
Welcome back. Modern technology is certainly impressive. Don't believe me? Give any 2-year-old a phone and see what happens. Now, a Joliet woman is working to make sure that the outdoors isn't lost on the next generation.
Whether it's catching minnows or scavenging for treasure, it's all about child-led play here at Backyard Kids in Joliet, finding that balance between technology and the outdoors.
Messes are meant to be made here at Backyard Kids in Joliet.
They have fun and they're tired afterwards, and that's the best thing about it. Kids are really smart. They know what to do. They know how to play. They know how to learn.
As an occupational therapist for the last decade,
That's called We're Going on a Treasure Hunt.
and a Joliet resident for the past 3 years, Amy Decker saw a need.
In the clinic and the school base, you hear more behavioral challenges and ADHD diagnoses.
And an opportunity for Carbon County families.
Nice, Joe.
It kind of sent me down a rabbit hole of why is this? And technology, of course, comes up. But also with that is just the lack of some free play.
Incorporating child-led play and the outdoors to make Backyard Kids.
Say woof, woof, woof.
Then it's more about just facilitating play through the environment set up.
Right now, the program is for kids and parents to do together, using activities like the game Red Light, Green Light.
I saw all of you.
And catching minnows in the creek by Amy's house.
Playing with different textures and using your hands and your touch and just allowing your whole body to be immersed in nature. We're constantly trying to find groups of moms that just want to get their kids outside and playing and out of the house and off of screens.
A lifesaver for mom of two, Charlie Batiste Kofer, who came all the way from Red Lodge to participate.
Amy does a great job. just coming up with super fun things for kids to do that it's not expensive. You can do it at home. It gives moms a really good ideas.
Giving rural families the opportunity to get outside and play.
It's an opportunity to get messy, and that's the goal here. So kind of gives them a free pass to let it go.
In Joliet, Alina Howder, MTN News.
National Alpaca Farm Days is this weekend, September 28th and September 29th. Sapphire Alpaca Farm is bringing awareness to these creatures that have been providing for humans for thousands of years.
Alpacas, they're pretty precious because it shows, it's like a link between the past, the present, and the future.
Doug and Dana Fages, the owners of Sapphire Alpaca, have focused on the South American animal's impact on sustainable agriculture since 2017.
Alpacas are raised for fiber primarily. So aside from having a wonderful animal that you can watch in the backyard and enjoy its companionship, they also produce fiber for you, so it's a renewable resource.
Sapphire raises Surrey alpacas, known for their silky textured fiber. The duo sends the fiber to be tested in New Zealand to get data about which alpaca's fiber is most breedable. The key thing to look for is luster or shininess, a trait prevalent in the sapphire herd.
There's times in the afternoon when the sun's coming in where it looks like a herd of glowing deer.
Alpaca fiber is versatile, but Sapphire's goal is to produce nice, local products that are also functional for Montanans. Scarves.
You're not really pinned down by size, so as long as you have a neck, you can enjoy wearing a scarf.
Sapphire tethers the past with the future through the use of an ancient material and modern technology. The farm bought a knitting machine from Europe and can now make 25 detailed scarves a day locally.
Amazon can't even do that. So it's kind of cool to be able to keep it local.
Although alpacas have only been farmed in the United States since the late 1980s, they have a complex story to tell.
So there's just so much in the world of alpacas to learn and to visit and just enjoy and have fun with them.
The piece is available for purchase from the farm Honor Montana's Flora and Fauna. If you want to obtain some soft and cozy winter attire like me, Sapphire Alpaca Farm sells their products throughout Helena and the state of Montana, including Yellowstone National Park. In Helena, Madeline Heath, MTN News.
Well, that's going to do it for this week's episode of MTN Outdoors. Until next time, stay safe out there, and I'll catch you later.